Hey, welcome back to the Disney Plus Everyday Challenge, and today we have Dark Marbles. This is a History Channel series, pulling in everything: A&E, history, Lifetime. I assume that Disney owns a lot of stuff, but I didn't realize they owned all of these, along with National Geographic and Pixar and Lucasfilm and Marvel Studios and all this other stuff. I don't know. Either that or they're just making deals with other networks or cable channels to get their content on streaming. I don't know. Just the way it works. This is from 2023. It is one season, 8 episodes. Each of them are about 41 or so minutes long, right? Yeah, it's 41 minutes. I only watched the first episode. I got the idea. I got the idea, the concept of the entire series, but it is fairly interesting. It is all about inventions through the centuries, basically, that have shaped society, shaped the world, and how we do things. And this gives you an indication of how dark it gets. Yeah, the very first episode is all about execution. Devices used through the centuries around the world to execute other human beings. It, it goes dark, and I imagine it gets darker from there. I'm going to show you what we got here. Temples of Doom, history's most sinister structures. Okay, that's kind of dark. Treacherous traps. Okay. Treasure hunters, body snatchers, wartime enemies, booby traps, all sorts of stuff like that. Indiana Jones's least favorite things other than snakes. Pain and punishment. These are just torture devices. Yeah. This is kind of really dark, but that's the title gives it away, but still. Blades of Fury, just cool swords and axes and stuff. Cool is a relative term depending on which edge of the blade is facing you, but super weapons of fear. These are just, it's a Nazi super cannons. There's the trebuchet. There's things that basically took basic concepts and just mega sized them to the degree that their reach goes further, their power, destructive powers goes further. It's pretty intense. Sinister spy weapons. I almost skipped and chose this one because he's James Bond there. It'd be kind of cool to find out. James Bond has lots of gadgets and things like that Q has given him over the many iterations of Bond, but how many of them are really real? So, might be able to find out from watching that. And then blood sports. Okay, it's just the history of people beating the crap out of each other, and also like Russian roulette and other things like that. Things that deadly games, basically. So it's a pretty broad spectrum of historians and obviously, depending on what it is, architects and people who just build gadgets and things like that. It's a pretty comprehensive thing, and to start it off with tools of execution is, yeah. We've found some pretty creative ways to kill each other over the years in non-war settings. So, in this case, they go over things like the guillotine. Guillotine, it's French. The electric chair. The wheel. Yeah, the invention of the wheel, but not exactly the wheel you drive around on. It is, it is one of the darker ones. It is, there's at least 5, but the one that they kind of leave for the end is drawing and quartering, which is first hanging to a degree where they almost die, like a general lowering of the body, and then choking, but then don't let them die, and then leave them alive to be disemboweled, castrated, their head cut off, and their arms and legs pulled 4 different directions, and then placed around, well, in this case, in the most famous story, the story of William Wallace, yes, the Braveheart movie that wasn't really that all historical. William Wallace was drawn and quartered in the end, and his limbs were taken to the 4 corners of England. Yeah, that's just making a statement. That is, hey, we're in the left arm quarter of England, where we keep all the left arms, and the right legs over there. Let's head to the right leg part of England now. Just see them all. And just the idea that so much of these types of things were seen as entertainment for the masses. Whether it was, criminals who had committed murder or just theft, things like that. Any reason some people could have to execute somebody, they took it, and the crowds just came out. People apparently sold souvenirs. Get your little electric chair, souvenir electric chair. Not that souvenir guillotine, souvenir guillotines. And there was a point that they would use it, of course, always for treason. It's France. Guillotine. It's named after a guy named Guillotine, without the E at the end. But he was trying to find a more humane way of killing people that was just a bit more direct. Guillotine was pretty direct, but when they realized it was just one a day, people would just go, well, that was quick and boring. They should have more. And so came to the point where they would just schedule so many beheadings throughout the day, and people would just spend the afternoon, get some snacks from the vendors and souvenirs for the kids, and they all just stand out there and just watch as the blade got duller and duller and duller. And sometimes you have to drop that blade a couple times in order to get somebody dead. This is not a fun series, but it is informative. It does give you an idea of the levels of depravity in whether the people deserve it or not. And again, guillotines are also well known for taking out kings and rulers who committed treason against their nation. And it's been suggested to be brought back for certain other people in society, but who knows if that will ever happen. Romance. Anyway, the romance of executions is alive and well in America. But we'll see. We'll see how that goes. But hey, if you're ever curious about the truth and the lies and the exaggerations of how things happened back in the day and even into today, we still use electric chair to a certain degree in certain areas, I think, like Texas, where the death penalty is still ironically alive and well. France was still using the guillotine in the 70s, the 1970s. There were people who'd gone to the moon. And there were still people being executed by guillotine in the world in my lifetime. That's just crazy. Some of the stuff is pretty gruesome, so it's not for younger viewers. It's not. They do reenactments to a point. They don't show anything that's gory or there's no real dismembering. You just see people just part of their faces going as stuff is happening to them. So you get to see the devices, you get to see the people, you get to see how these things were kind of constructed, how the process worked, and then the reenactments were just, it's not rough in that sense. They even go into the more modern day when it comes to the electric chair. There was Westinghouse, and why can't I say his name? The man. They battled over who could make the better electric chair, the direct current or the alternating current. You can find out which one won, and how we for so long spent way too many resources and to learn what the best voltage is and the best way to apply the contacts in order to electrocute somebody. It was a lot of trial and error. Yeah. And you even get to hear the story of the first person who was ever electrocuted. That is a gruesome tale. They reenact that one, not the actual execution, but the reaction to the people in the room. So, yeah, it could be some good fun for the more morbid among you. So, give it a shot. Let's pick tomorrow's episode. 23. Oh, well, we're finally getting to this. Again, we have more. The red category stuff there's more of that than anything else. But it's a good variety of different things. Like here we have stuff about violence and dark marvels. It's that we have nature with animals, we have the sciences, we have architecture, we have history and archaeology and things like that. All sorts of different things. And then we also have reality shows and concerts. And while I'm not a big country music fan, we are going to watch this, whether I like it or not. It's Carrie Underwood, Reflection. So yeah, hey, it's on the list. It's on Disney Plus natively, and it's not like through Hulu or whatever. So, yeah. Carrie Underwood, Reflection. Yeah, this is what we're watching next of the Disney Plus Celebrity Challenge. I'll see you back here tomorrow with that.